the MLB playoffs just kicked off. As I'm recording this, the Braves are about to play. Yeah, I'm recording this on Thursday at 5 o'clock. Yeah, so they're about to play. The playoffs have kicked off, or rather, prepare for bad joke, pitched off. Yeah, bad joke. I'm not doing that again. Tampa Bay Rays, they beat the Athletics 5-1 to move on to the wild card from the wild card round to play against the, I want to say, no, not Dodgers, Astros. There we go. I don't know why I'm blanking on that. And the Nationals came back against the Brewers, and that was such a bad game by, I'm pretty sure his name is Hader, I want to say, or Hodder. Starts with an H. And then the right fielder for the Brewers, where he just took a bad hop and he completely missed it. But the Nationals move on to play against the Dodgers. And I gotta say, for my prediction, I got the Dodgers winning the World Series. And I'm not the biggest MLB guy out there. I'm not the biggest baseball guy out there. There are some people that I know that know the stats, know the players like nothing else. They know it by heart. They know it off the top of their head. Me, I'm not like that. I love statistics, but that's more for like basketball that I really do that. I'm a sports guy, so I do that for like more basketball where I can think of stats more likely off the top of my head, but not like direct stats that are on the dot. I'm straying from the point. Anyways, I have the Dodgers winning the World Series. Let me explain why. And I'm going to explain why, not through stats or anything like that, but through trends. And in order to do that, I have to take you all the way back to the first MLB expansion. Before that, so the MLB really, let's say, finalized the whole MVP idea for NL MVP, AL MVP, and the criteria for both at 1931. So from 1931 for 30 years until 1961, 50% of the World Series were with 2 MVPs. 2 MVPs. And that's out of 30 World Series. So 15 out of the 30 World Series that were played from 1931 to 1960, 50% of those had 2 MVPs in the World Series. That is insane. That is insane. Now, since then, only 8 World Series out of 57 total World Series have had 2 MVPs in it. 23 have had 1. And 26 have had none. That is insane. That is mind-boggling. That is crazy. But the reason why I bring that up is because from the most recent expansion that was in 1998, and that creates the now 30-team league that we know, with 15 in the NL, 15 in the AL. From then, from 1998 to present day, 21 World Series have been played. 14 of which have had no MVPs. 6 of which have had one MVP, and only 1 has had 2 MVPs, which is also crazy. Now, it is important to note that the World Series with 1 MVP and the one with 2 MVPs were not consecutive. So there was not, off the top of my head, I think it was, I want to say Detroit and the Giants, where they both had MVPs and on AL MVPs. The year before and the year after, there were no MVPs playing in the World Series. And that's what I mean by consecutive. Until these past 3 years with the Cubs, Astros, and Red Sox. And those MVPs are Chris Bryant from the Cubs, Jose Altuve from the Astros, and Mookie Betts from the Boston Red Sox. Now, if we look at that for this year, and I believe that this trend is going to continue. I believe it is. Because I think it's about time that now we've settled into what is going to probably be a concrete expansion of only 30 teams in the MLB. It's now going to be a lot more MVPs playing in the World Series. Because now it's actually going to be determined by how good your team is. Now I say that, but now we have Mike Trout, who's not playing in the playoffs. And he is one of the MVP candidates, and he's pretty much going to win it. Now, on the other side, in the other league, the NL, because Mike Trout's in the AL, in the NL we have pretty much a two-man race between Cody Bellinger and Christian Yelich. However, Christian Yelich is injured, and the Brewers didn't make the play. They made the playoffs, but didn't get past the wild card, so I don't think it's going to win. Cody Bellinger, either way, is still the front runner. And so Cody Bellinger is on the, you guessed it, LA Dodgers. So that's part of the reason why I think that they're going to win. And so those last three World Series that I mentioned, Chris Bryant on the Cubs, Jose Altuve on the Houston Astros, Mookie Betts on the Boston Red Sox, they all won. So yeah, I think that Cody Bellinger is going to win the NL MVP. And therefore, based off this trend, the Dodgers are going to win the whole thing. And additionally, this one I just found really, really intriguing. And this following a bit more of a trend. And you don't have to take this like completely matter-of-factly, but it's more like just a trend. So take this with a grain of sand or salt or some sort of grain of rice, maybe. So I looked it up. 538 is a prediction through percentage website. It's not betting, but more like likelihood that this team wins or stuff like that. So I went back to 2017. Not the Cubs one, because that one was a lot weirder. But I went back to 2017 when the Dodgers and Astros played. So these are like the Dodgers right here. And I went to right before the divisional round started, so right after the World Series. And I looked up the percentages, the likelihood for each team winning at that point. So in 2017, number one percentage was the Cleveland Indians. Number 2, LA Dodgers. Number 3, the Houston Astros. And we all know in 2017, the Dodgers and Astros ended up facing off. 2018, first percentage was Astros. Second was Red Sox. Third was Dodgers. As we know, Dodgers and Red Sox faced off. 2019, it is Astros at first, Dodgers, and then Yankees. The pattern here is that the team that's most likely to win it, the first team that I mentioned, Indians, Red Sox, Indians, Astros. Indians, Astros. They didn't make it to the World Series. The second and third teams that I mentioned, Dodgers, Astros, Red Sox, Dodgers, Yankees, made the World Series. Now, Dodgers, Yankees, not yet, but that's what I'm predicting. That's why I'm predicting Dodgers and Yankees. And also keep in mind that going back to the Chicago Cubs, Cleveland Indians won that World Series. Going from then on to now, the World Series has been played by the 1 seed against the 2 seed. So that's what I'm predicting again, because I'm following the trend. Cleveland Indians, Cubs, first, second seed. Astros, Dodgers, first and second seed. Red Sox, Dodgers, first and second seed. Now this year, that means it's either Dodgers and Yankees, or it's Astros and Braves. And like I mentioned before, if we're following this 538 trend, it's going to be Dodgers and Yankees. And if we're following that trend from what I mentioned before with Cody Bellinger being the MVP, it's looking like it's going to be Dodgers and Yankees. Now, if you think that I'm completely out of it and that I don't know what I'm talking about at all and that trends are just silly and you don't believe in it, well, I'm going to say something about that. I believe that for the past 2 playoff series, for the Dodgers in the World Series, the main problem was that, aside from pitching with Clayton Kershaw and Kenley Jansen, because those players still need to play, but even then, you can still have who I believe is going to end up being a star over this playoffs for the Dodgers, Walker Buehler, who I found amazing last year, Game 3 against the Red Sox. I think it was a scoreless 7 innings that he pitched. Phenomenal. I think it was his first playoff game, maybe. But it was crazy. Crazy. But my real concern was late game hitting and batting because they were a home run team. And yes, they kept up with the Astros. But guess what? When it mattered the most, especially against the Red Sox, they couldn't get people on base. They couldn't. And the Astros and the Red Sox were able to do that. And that's why they won along with their pitching, because they had phenomenal pitchers for both teams. And the Dodgers do on paper too, but they have to have that offense consistently. Because when that happens, you also wear out the other team's pitcher and you start going through the bullpen. That's just fact. Also, I noticed this other trend that for the Astros, and I looked this up for close games during the regular season. The Astros, when they won it, didn't play a lot of close games in the regular season, but when they did, they scored a lot of runs. They were top 3 in runs in close games. However, they weren't in that many close games. So that's a good sign that they can hit and score when it matters the most. Same with the Red Sox when they won. Little at-bats, they were first in runs. This year, the Dodgers, they are tremendously better than they were in years past. Years past, they had many at-bats, especially last year. They had many at-bats in close games. But they got didn't have 0 runs, but they couldn't get runs generated. This year, though, it's a lot better. Oh, there we go. It's not a complete fix, but they've had fewer at-bats. Last year they had like 700 something. This year there was like 584, I think. And they were 7th in runs in close games, which is not up to the level of the Astros and Red Sox, 1st and 3rd. But it's an improvement, and they were there. They were there. They were close, even though they didn't have that. They almost won, even though they didn't have that trend going their way. And so I believe that now that they have it, they're going to win it all. I think so. My only problem is that the Braves are also really good at close games. But based off all the trends I talked about and them mostly covering up and fixing what I was so worried about, I believe that the Dodgers have learned from the past 2 years and that they're finally going to win. And although I would love to see a Dodgers and Astros rematch, even though you don't have David Keuchel or forgetting his name, the Tampa Bay Rays pitcher who Morton, that's what his name is. Even though the Astros don't have that level of pitchers anymore, or that depth of pitchers anymore, I would love to see a rematch between the Dodgers and Astros, where I would for sure pick the Dodgers to win. I think that the Dodgers are going to play against the Yankees and that they're going to win. I think that the trends point towards that, and I'm just following the trend.